Welcome back. This is the last Sunday of the year where an NFL game will not be played, barring cancellations due to the COVID-19 pandemic, of course. The NFL kicks off a new season on Thursday, and when the Miami Dolphins hit the field at Hard Rock Stadium on September 20th, they'll do so in front of a smaller crowd of fans. I spoke with Todd Boyan, the Senior Vice President of Stadium Operations, to find out how they plan to make the experience safe and enjoyable for everyone.
Todd, thank you so much for being with us as we approach the brand new NFL season. The Dolphins just a couple of weeks away from playing their home opener for the 2020 football season. Obviously, a lot has happened since the Fins last took the field at Hard Rock Stadium. What can fans expect when they go to Hard Rock in the midst of this pandemic?
Well, certainly there's quite a bit that's changed. I mean, the world is a completely different place since last football season. And our last event we actually hosted was the Super Bowl in February. So it's quite a different world. But when the pandemic hit, we went instantly into a planning mode. And our Vice Chairman and CEO, Tom Garfinkel, challenged our senior leadership group to say, you know, what's this going to look like coming out? I mean, the probability when you hear the talks about the vaccine and how long it's going to take for a vaccine to be developed and come to market was going to be at least a year, if not longer. So the discussion of how many fans could come to a sporting event or to a Dolphins game or a Canes game is something that we really looked at and said, how are we going to be able to look at the fan journey and how is that fan experience going to be different? So we started planning back in March and we dove into what we felt were 5 different scenarios. The first scenario was whether or not the game would even be played, whether it be a cancellation of a game. The second scenario is, would we have a game with no fans? How would that work? Then we have an option where, is there a social distance stadium? What that means is, how do we operate a stadium environment in a way that's safe for everybody to come in a socially distant way? And then the fourth scenario is could we open up a stadium with 50% capacity? And then the final scenario, which is less probable, at least this point, is a full stadium. So we dove deep into the fan experience and the fan journey to try to make sure we understood those 5 scenarios. And we went to every part of the fan journey to see what the impact would be.
Of those 5 scenarios you mentioned, you said one of them was potentially a 50% capacity, but ultimately you all decided, at least for now, on less than 50% capacity. I think the magic number right now is about 13,000 fans will be allowed into the stadium on game days. Why was that the magic number for these games?
It wasn't a number that we started out and were shooting for at all. Actually, it was quite the opposite. We went into the plan and said, how do we create safe seating clusters for people to sit? So if you come to the game with your family, you feel comfortable. And we did surveys to season ticket databases and to try to understand, you know, if they felt like wanted to come to a game, what would be the things that are important to them? And they felt comfortable. The results were that they felt comfortable sitting with the family or friends that they might come into the game with in their car or they live with at home, but they wouldn't feel as comfortable coming to a game and sit next to a stranger. And as you know, in a 65,000 seat stadium, you're going to be sitting in close proximity normally to a lot of people that you don't know. So we actually focused on how do we create those clusters, and you have in our plan 6 feet in front of you, 6 feet behind you, 6 feet to the left, 6 feet to the right, where you and your family can sit. So you've got groups of seating clusters of 2 seats, 4 seats, and 6 seats. And no matter what size number of seats, you've got that 6-foot dimension in front and behind you and to each side. So you're not necessarily sitting next to people that are strangers. So that was important to us. When we did the work on studying those dimensions, it basically came down to it would hold 13,000 fans. So it was a number that we weren't really shooting for.
Some other leagues, the NBA has virtual fans, soccer, Major League Baseball in some stadiums actually have cardboard cutouts of fans there in the seats. I understand that those leagues had less time to prepare because they've been playing already, the Dolphins and the NFL, a little bit more time. But why was it so important to the Dolphins and to the NFL to actually have fans in the stadium for games?
Well, I think what we did is we focused on how can we make it safe? Can it be safe? Does it have to be no fans or full stadiums? It doesn't necessarily have to be either or. Could there be scenarios in the middle where we feel like, you know, if we can create a safe environment, then we would go and proceed with that. And if we didn't feel like we could do it safely, we certainly wouldn't, you know, have gone to the local authorities and asked, you know, said, here's our plan. So we went to the governor and to the Miami-Dade County mayor and said, here's our plan. And we showed them our plan. And we said, listen, if we didn't feel like we would be comfortable making it safe, we wouldn't open it to any fans.
I know the entire off season, Hard Rock Stadium has still been busy. There is still plenty going on there, even when it's not football related. We've got the COVID-19 testing site. Hard Rock has arguably been one of the most high profile sites. I know from the beginning, that's where a lot of people were going right when they were first starting to get tested. And then you also have these other events. You have food distribution for the community. You have drive-in movies to give people sort of an outlet, something to do. How busy has it really been at Hard Rock Stadium in this offseason, even without football?
It's been very busy, and I think what we've tried to do is do everything we can to be a good community partner, be a part of this community. We live and work here. We're part of the community. So you referred to those three items. As soon as the pandemic really hit back in March, the state of Florida and the Department of Emergency Management approached us about could they use part of our parking lots to host the test site? And we said, absolutely. So we said, here, no charge, go ahead, use the parking lot, whatever you need. We gave them support. We helped them design the flow of vehicles in and out of the site, gave them our equipment. And we basically wanted to make sure that the community had an opportunity to come and get testing without having to wait to be tested. So the drive-in testing started really early on in the pandemic, and it's been going every day since then. So we feel it's important to be part of the community and be part of the solutions that, this has been a difficult time for everyone. With the fact that we have the food relief program and Stephen Ross and the Miami Dolphin Foundation, he basically made a multi-million-dollar investment into providing meals for the local community. So we basically are providing, since June, no less than 1,000 meals per day to Miami Gardens residents through a voucher system. And that happens, Monday through Friday, where they come to the stadium with the voucher, and then they're given a meal at no charge. And Stephen Ross and the foundation have funded that. And then on weekends, the Dolphins work with local churches and leadership and community groups to purchase food from local minority-owned restaurants to provide that 1,000 meals. So we're trying to help the restaurants, which obviously have been struggling through this as well, to try to make sure that there's some income and business for those people in the restaurant world. And then also the people that are giving out these meals. We have a large number of our work staff that works games and events here at the stadium. Well, we haven't had events. So those workers that come and work on a part-time basis at our stadium for events haven't had the opportunity to generate any income through those events. So we've made sure that there's opportunities for them to come help out and hand out the food and be a part of the solution.
Todd Boyan also says they've stepped up cleaning procedures at the stadium, and pretty much anything fans would usually touch is now touchless. Of course, if you prefer to stay home, you can always watch the games right here on CBS 4. We'll be right back after the break.